In the ancient kingdom of Agbnil, there lived a king whose name was spoken with deep respect across villages and towns. King Adekunle was a man of wisdom, strength, and tradition. By his side sat Queen Morinike, gentle in speech, but strong in spirit. Together, they ruled their people with fairness. But the greatest treasure in their palace was not gold, nor land, nor crowns. It was their daughter. Princess Adisua was the only child the king and queen ever had. From the day she was born, the palace drummers beat their drums until their hands were sore. Elders poured libation to thank the ancestors. Women sang songs of joy. She is the future of this kingdom, the people said. Adisua grew up knowing she was loved, watched, and protected. She was taught how to greet elders properly, how to speak softly but wisely, and how to walk with grace. Her beauty was not only in her face, but in her calm eyes and thoughtful words. Yet, even as a child, Adisua was different. She asked questions. Why must a woman marry only who is chosen for her? Why is age more important than character? Why do people fear love? The elders smiled and said, "You will understand when you grow." But Adisua never forgot those questions. As Adisua became a young woman, suitors began to appear like ants after sugar. Princes from nearby kingdoms came with horses, gifts, and loud promises. Young noblemen wore fine clothes and practiced sweet speeches. Each time, the king would smile proudly. "My daughter will choose wisely," he believed. But Adisua always refused. She would bow respectfully and say, "I thank you, but my heart is not there." This worried the queen. "My husband, Queen Morinike, once said at night, 'Our daughter is growing. People are talking.'" The king waved his hand. "She is not stubborn. She is careful." But deep inside, both parents feared the same thing. What if Adisua chose a path the throne could not accept? The old man's name was Boba Tund. He was not poor, but he was not rich like the royals. He was not young, and his hair had already turned white like cotton. His back bent slightly with age, and his hands carried the marks of many years of labor. Boba Tund was a respected palace advisor, known for his wisdom and honesty. When he spoke carefully, Princess Adisua often saw him during council meetings. At first, she noticed only his calm voice. Then she noticed his kindness. Then she noticed how he never spoke to impress, only to tell the truth. One evening, after a long meeting, rain began to fall heavily. The palace guards rushed around. Boba Tund stood quietly, waiting. Adisua approached him. "You will catch cold," she said softly. "Esmailed. A cold does not fear old bones," he replied jokingly. "Teloged." That was how it started. Not with desire, not with secrets, but with conversation. After the rain that evening, something quietly changed in Princess Adisua's heart. She did not rush it. She did not even understand it at first. Whenever Boba Tund spoke during council meetings, she listened more closely than before. When he walked past, she greeted him with extra respect. When days passed without seeing him, she strangely felt his absence. The palace servants noticed. "Princess has been quiet these days," one maid whispered. "She is always thinking," another replied. In the marketplace outside the palace walls, rumors began to grow like weeds. They say the princess does not look at young men anymore. They say her heart is somewhere else. But nobody imagined where that heart truly rested. One afternoon, Adisua went to the palace garden to clear her mind. Baba Tund was there, trimming old leaves from a tree. "You should not be doing such work," she said. He smiled gently. "A tree must be cared for, whether young or old." They talked for a long time about life, about mistakes, about patience. Baba Tund spoke of his late wife with respect, never bitterness. He spoke of raising children and losing dreams, and still standing strong. Adisua felt something heavy, yet peaceful in her chest. That day, she realized the truth. She loved him, not because of age, not because of power, but because he understood her soul. "That not vernis, but from fear." How will I explain this? She whispered to herself. More young men came. One was the son of a wealthy chief. Another was a brave warrior. Another was a handsome prince from the east. Each one brought gifts. Each one spoke of love. Adisua refused them all. Respectfully, calmly, firmly. The king finally became angry. "Are you waiting for the sky to fall before you choose?" Easked. Adisua with. "My father, I cannot marry without peace in my heart." That answer shook the palace. Because peace was never mentioned in royal marriage discussions. The truth did not stay hidden for long. One evening, an elder overheard a conversation. Another servant connected the signs. Soon, the rumor became clear enough to hurt. The princess loved Baba Tund. When the king heard it, he stood up so fast his throne almost fell. "Impossible. Héros arrête." The queen covered her mouth, in shock. "The man is old enough to be her father." Someone shouted. Across them, people talked. Some logued. Some insulted. Some were simply confused. But Adisua did not deny it. For the first time in her life, she stood before her parents and spoke boldly. "Yes," she said. "I love him." Silence fell like heavy rain. King Adekunle felt betrayed. "All I have done for you." Eshuted. "You will bring shame to this throne." The queen cried quietly. "My daughter, this is not the way." Adisua knelt. "I will accept any punishment," she said. "But I will not lie about my heart." The king ordered Baba Tund to leave the palace immediately. That night, the kingdom slept without peace. When Baba Tund returned to his home outside the palace, his children were waiting. They were grown men and women, some married, some with children of their own. They respected their father. But when they heard the story, respect mixed with shock. "Our father," his eldest son said carefully. "Is it true?" Baba Tund sat down slowly. "Yes," he answered. "It true." The room became heavy. How can a princess be our stepmother? One daughter cried. "People will laugh at us." Anotese. Baba Tund raised his hand gently. "I did not ask for this love. It came quietly. I tried to run from it. But you did not," his son replied. "No," Baba Tund admitted. "Because denying truth only brings more pain." His children were not cruel, but they were afraid. Afraid of shame. Afraid of gossip. Afraid of change. That night, none of them slept well. Back in the palace, Adisua felt alone for the first time in her life. Her parents avoided her. Servants became careful with their words. Friends stopped visiting. She walked through the palace corridors like a stranger. Sometimes she wondered, should I let go? But every time she thought of Baba Tund's calm voice. His honesty, her heart refused to agree. One evening, the queen finally came to her room. "My daughter," she said softly, "love is good. But tradition is heavy." Adisua held her mother's hands. "Mother," she replied, "if love has no value, then what are we protecting?" The queen had no answer. King Adekunle grew thin. He stopped attending some meetings. At night, he stared at the ceiling, thinking. The elders advised him. A king must think of the future. The people are watching. But the king remembered something he had buried long ago. He remembered the woman he loved before duty forced him elsewhere. He remembered choosing tradition over his heart. And he asked himself a question that scared him. Am I angry because this is wrong? Or because it reminds me of my own regret? Montpas said. Baba Tund did not visit the palace. He did not send messages. He chose dignity over pressure. Adisua did not run away. She waited. People expected the love to die. But it did not. Instead, it became quieter. Étranger. One morning, the king fell ill. As the queen sat beside him, he whispered, "Bring my daughter." Adisua knelt beside the bed. "My father," she said. The king looked into her eyes and saw no rebellion, only truth. The room was quiet, except for the sound of the king's breathing. King Adekunle looked at his daughter for a long time. His eyes were no longer filled with anger. They were filled with questions. "Adisua," he said slowly, "if this love brings you pain, will you still choose it?" "Yes, my father," she answered. "Because, even without it, my heart already knows pain." The king closed his eyes. For the first time, he did not see a princess. He saw a woman choosing her life. "Leave me," he whispered. When Adisua stepped out, the queen remained behind. Queen Moronique sat beside her husband and held his hand. "My king," she said gently, "do you remember the man I was promised to before you?" The king opened his eyes in surprise. "I loved him," the queen continued. "But duty brought me here. I chose peace over love." Tears filled her eyes. "Our daughter is braver than we were." The king's hand trembled. That night, he asked for the palace elders. The elders gathered under the moonlight. Libation was poured. Truth was spoken. The king stood slowly. "I fought my daughter's choice," he said, "because it broke tradition. But I now see that tradition without compassion becomes cruelty." Murmurs spread. He continued, "Baba Tund is an honorable man. My daughter's love is clean. If the ancestors stand for justice, they will not reject this union." Silence followed. Then the oldest elder nodded. "Love that is honest does not curse a kingdom," he said. Messengers were sent. Baba Tund and his children were invited to the palace. His children were nervous. Their pride still hurt, but something had changed. Princess Adisua met them with humility. "I do not wish to replace your mother," she said softly. "I only wish to honor her by loving your father with respect." Her words touched them deeply. Slowly, resistance turned into understanding. The wedding was simple but powerful. No loud boasting. No pride. Just drums, prayers, and truth. When the king joined their hands together, the crowd watched in silence. Then applause broke out. Not because they understood everything, but because love had won honestly. Princess Adisua became a wife, not by force, but by choice. Baba Tund became a husband again, not seeking youth, but truth. The king and queen found peace. The children found respect. The kingdom learned a lesson. Love does not ask permission from age.